Welcome to this explainer. Imagine, just for a second, that you are stepping way back in time. You're standing in the pitch-black darkness of the ancient savannah. No walls, no electric lights, definitely no locked doors. Just a really thin veil of darkness separating you from the apex predators that literally rule the night. Kinda terrifying, right? But here's the thing. Our ancestors survived this every single night. So today, let's unravel one of the most fascinating behavioral mysteries in the natural world together. We're going to explore exactly how we survived the dark and what it means for our sleep today. Okay, let's dive right into this because this question presents a profoundly weird biological paradox. Think about it realistically. You've got a 200-kilogram apex predator, like a lion or a leopard, that's capable of taking down a massive buffalo in a matter of seconds. It has an unbelievable sense of smell and hearing, yet it can walk right past a flimsy canvas tent with a completely vulnerable human sleeping inside and do absolutely nothing. It just walks on by. How on earth does that make any sense? Section 1. The camping problem. Now, you might be wondering if this is just some urban myth, but it's actually a heavily documented phenomenon in field biology. Researchers out deep in the African savannas will frequently wake up in the morning, step outside, and find fresh lion or leopard tracks circling the exact perimeter of their camp. And they remain completely unharmed. It is absolutely crucial to understand here that the predator isn't confused. They aren't just unaware of what's going on. A lion's olfactory system is so highly tuned, it detects human presence from over a kilometer away, even against the wind. They know exactly what is inside that tent. They are making an active choice to pass us by. Right? So the first assumption a lot of people make is, well, they avoid us simply because humans are dangerous. We have guns, we hunt, we set traps. And yeah, for sure, learned fear of human retaliation is a real thing. But it doesn't entirely solve the puzzle. Why? Because we see this exact same avoidance behavior documented in pristine, incredibly remote regions where predators have had little to absolutely no contact with human hunters. So there has to be a much deeper, much older biological mechanism at play here. Section 2. Predator psychology. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is that to truly understand this, we have to totally flip our perspective. We have to stop looking at the savannah like humans and start thinking exactly like a lion. Notice the stark contrast in these behavioral triggers. A large wildcat doesn't think in abstract concepts, it reacts to behavioral signals. If a human is running away in a panic, boom, that triggers an immediate predatory reflex, the chase drive. But a human lying completely still, silent, and unmoving, that triggers a totally different neurological pathway for a big cat, extreme caution. And that brings us to ambiguity. In the wild, ambiguity is everything. We tend to think of apex predators as these reckless, bloodthirsty monsters just roaming the plains looking for a fight. They aren't. They are highly efficient, calculating survivalists. For them, an attack is always a strict cost-benefit analysis. Think about it. If a predator gets injured in a fight with an unknown creature, even just a minor cut that gets infected, that could mean starvation and death. So they actively avoid ambiguous situations where the outcome isn't a guaranteed win. So let's break down that predator's split-second risk equation. Why avoid the sleeping human? Well, the human simply isn't emitting any recognizable prey signals. We aren't fleeing, we aren't displaying visible panic. Combine that with strange human odors, the completely unfamiliar shapes of tents, and the totally unknown risk of injury we might present. To a lion, this entire package just screams unpredictable. And out on the savannah, unpredictable means it's a gamble that just isn't worth taking. Section 3, the Sentinel hypothesis. To really get the full picture here, we have to pivot our narrative to human evolution. For millions of years, our ancestors lived right smack in the middle of the food chain, side by side with massive carnivores. We were not always the untouchable apex predators we consider ourselves today. 2 million years ago, early humans like Homo habilis slept in genuine darkness, and the fossil record brutally shows us that our bones were routinely covered in the teeth marks of big cats and hyenas. Before we mastered fire and advanced tools, we were absolutely on the menu. So how did we possibly survive all of that? The answer is something called collective vigilance. Our primary survival strategy was group sleep. By sleeping closely together, the chances of someone waking up to a rustling sound or a weird shadow increased dramatically. And here's the crucial part. The moment a human wakes up, yells, or stands up, it instantly breaks that predator's ambiguity threshold. The predator no longer sees a mysterious, silent object. It sees a loud, upright, chaotic group, and it chooses to retreat. which actually reveals an absolutely staggering statistic discovered by Dr. David Sampson during his research on the Hadza people, a traditional hunter-gatherer society in Tanzania. Just 18 minutes. 18 minutes is the total amount of time out of an entire night that a group of 20 people is simultaneously in deep sleep. That's it. For the entire rest of the night, human sleep is naturally staggered and deeply fragmented. Someone is always tossing, turning, or hovering in light sleep. Basically, without even trying, human biology ensures that someone is always acting as an unintentional sentinel, keeping the group safe from the shadows. Section 4. When the balance breaks. So, the crucial point here is that this is a fragile equation. Because this evolutionary truth between humans and predators is exactly that, a behavioral equilibrium. It is not some magical biological shield that makes us invincible. It's an ancient mathematical equation of risk, and as you can see with these exceptions, if you change the variables, the outcome completely changes. Take the famous man-eating lions of Tsavo. They didn't just attack sleeping workers randomly. Researchers later discovered those lions had severe dental pain. Catching fast, tough prey was agonizing for them, which made slow, sleeping humans a desperate, easy alternative. And then you have Nile crocodiles, who operate under totally different rules. They don't fear ambiguity at all, because they are ambush predators with absolute terrain advantage in the water. The equilibrium really only holds when the playing field is somewhat level. Unfortunately, we are witnessing this fragile balance breaking down in real time today. With immense habitat loss, the fragmentation of territories, and severe predator starvation, the old rules of the ancient savanna are dissolving. When predators are starving, desperate, and pushed into a corner, the cost of not attacking a human suddenly outweighs the risk of ambiguity. Desperation literally forces them to abandon hundreds of thousands of years of ancestral caution. Section 5, our biological legacy. And this brilliantly illustrates a massive disconnect. It's time to bring this incredible evolutionary mystery out of the African savanna and right into your own bedroom. Look at the disconnect we experience every single night. Our brains evolved to survive in a terrifying environment that demanded hypervigilance and group reliance. Yet today, how do we sleep? Behind locked doors. We use white noise machines to block out sound. We sleep in complete physical isolation. We have engineered absolute safety, but nobody told our biology. Because of this disconnect, we suffer from what we can call modern biological hangovers. Have you ever woken up completely alert at 3 a.m. for absolutely no reason, or felt a strange spike of anxiety when you're sleeping in a new hotel room? What about the universal human discomfort of sleeping alone, or that innate fear of the dark? These aren't modern psychological failings, folks. These are incredibly successful survival mechanisms doing exactly what they were designed to do millions of years ago, just to keep you off a leopard's dinner menu. The architecture of your brain, specifically the amygdala and its hypervigilance circuits, was forged in the fires of predator evasion. So the next time your brain misinterprets a shadow in the corner of your room or snaps you awake just because the house creaked, take comfort in it. It is not paranoia. It's an ancestral legacy of survival, and it's working perfectly. Ultimately, human sleep is a silent, ongoing conflict. It's a nightly tug-of-war between the unprecedented physical safety of the modern world and the ancient, deeply ingrained biology of a prey animal that knows it shouldn't let its guard down. Every single time you jolt awake in the dark, you are experiencing a perfectly tuned million-year-old survival system that's waiting for a threat that, thankfully, no longer exists. Which leaves us with this final thought. Tonight, when you turn out the lights and you feel that slight primal hesitation as the shadows creep in, ask yourself, is your fear of the dark really irrational, or is it simply the oldest, most successful survival strategy your ancestors ever passed down to you? Think about that the next time you try to get a good night's sleep. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and I hope you never look at a good night's rest the exact same way again.